Hey everyone, Alex coming at you with yet another video. I just wanted to come on and talk about a handful of records here. 80s jazz records that I think are still pretty underappreciated from an artist that remains fairly obscure despite being quite active still. And I think, yeah, one of those artists that is really one of the linchpins between 70s jazz into the present. That's really continuation of the tradition of the political, like spiritual, Afrocentric jazz that started in the late 60s through the 70s, and all these recordings are from the 1980s, and for that reason I think remain pretty underappreciated and underheard. And talking about Kahil El-Zabar. This is the record I'm playing, his Ethnic Heritage Ensemble. This is from 1981. It's only the second thing that he ever recorded, Kahil El-Zabar. The first one is called Infinite Spirit Music, which he put out himself in 1980. And again, this is from 1981 on the German Moors label. That's another reason I think why these records are very much under the radars. They all came out in, I'll showcase 3 different European labels. A lot of you, I'm sure, are familiar with the labels, maybe not so much with these particular records. So, yeah, so Kahil El-Zabar from Chicago, started as a teenager in Chicago learning percussion, was pretty much in that second wave of AACM musicians, that came after Mohal Richard Abrams and Anthony Braxton and all those guys, kind of the first wave, and then these guys come in sort of in the mid 70s, again learning from all these masters. In fact, one of his percussion teachers was Black Harold, who played with Phil Corrin and Sun Ra. And he switched to hand percussion early on instead of drums, which is another reason I think why these records get overlooked. And his primary instrument is actually what you hear here, which is the the African finger piano, the sanza, the mbira, many different names and variations from that Southeast African instrument. And it really adds, in my opinion, just an incredible amount of space and tension, and really, sets this really mysterious foundation, I think, to all of his music. And all of these records I can highly recommend. So this group here is it's a trio you see here. So there's El-Zabar, and then we have Edward Wilkerson and Light Henry Huff, 2 gentlemen that I believe also from Chicago that he would play with quite a bit, and I think several of them feature on some of these other records. So so this is the first one from 1981, again on the Moors label. Then this one is from 1984, I believe, on the Finnish Leo Records label. Just the logo for Leo. A lot of great stuff on that label. But for whatever reason, by the time not for whatever reason, I mean, jazz was pretty much completely out of style, and especially this, I think, particular brand of jazz, pretty much not a whole lot of interest in the United States. So, even though these guys had, the full support and backing of the AACM, all of these records were put out in Europe. This one's recorded in Helsinki, actually. And, this label is Edward Vesala's label. In fact, he took the picture for the front. This record I actually found in WFMU a couple years ago. I was very surprised. This one is particularly kind of hard to find. unfortunately, yeah, these records were not probably pressed in very significant quantities, and yeah, I think they're overdue for proper reissues. And even El Zabar's music, that's because he's still putting out great records. A lot of them are, I think, still pretty much under the radar and not widely distributed. But yeah, again, this is again Wilkerson, and also Maurice McIntyre features on this one. McIntyre playing tenor and percussion. Wilkerson is a multi-instrumentalist. Plays reeds, sax, alto, clarinet, flute, piano, and percussion. And again, El Zabar, always with hand percussion, as I discussed, earth drums, and then a lot of wordless vocals also on these records from El Zabar. Next couple here on the Sound Aspects label. Out of Germany, and yeah, for a long time I didn't quite understand the difference between these two records. So these were actually put out in separate years. I think, yeah, this is 1986 and this is 1988. So this again is his another group with some AACM members. This one with Lester Bowie, Mariachi Favors, of course, of the Art Ensemble of Chicago, plus Raphael Garrett, another very interesting player that he was in the C Ensemble, I think it was called, and those records are also very interesting, and maybe I'll talk to him about him another time. And yeah, and then this one with Lester Bowie on trumpet. So these are basically the same live recordings, recorded in 1985, November 3rd, 1985, at a club called One Flight Up. I think probably in the 90s, early 90s, it was gone. Maybe somebody has heard of it. I think it's, I looked it up. I think it's in, it's not the Lincoln Park neighborhood. I can't remember exactly where it was. Old Town, maybe. And yeah, so these are two, I don't know if it's like same shows on the same day or different shows. The only difference in personnel here is, again, we got Raphael Garrett playing clarinet on this one. On this one, just the trio. Again, excellent live recordings. And yeah, towards the end, especially, yeah, I would say the trumpet playing really stood out for me with Lester Bowie. Really outstanding. Malachi Favors on bass is really excellent as well. It's got some bowed bass stuff as well, and again, all of this with the bass of El Zabar's finger piano. Again, wordless vocals. Yeah, wonderfully recorded. Really excellent live sessions. Again, 1985. I'm not really sure who was paying attention to this stuff. Now, Sound Aspects did actually release some of these, and I think starting with this one from 1987, both concurrently, both on LP and CD. This is probably the best for me, my favorite, and maybe the most unusual, and one that maybe is a little bit under the radar as well. Why? Because it has no horns whatsoever. It's just Billy Bang, the great Billy Bang, on violin and bells, Malachi Favors on bass and percussion, and El Zabar here on drums, earth drums, bass, bamboo flute, the berimbau, sanza, and ankle bells. So this is his group, The Ritual, and the record is called Another Kind of Groove. And that's exactly what you get here. I mean, it's this type of jazz that I've really gotten deep, in, and it's among my favorite sort of styles. Is this groove-oriented type of jazz, but it's not your funky groove. or your funky fusion type of groove, but it's this more mysterious, meditative, spacious type of groove. And again, El Zbar is a percussionist, and he's a master percussionist at that. So these are essentially rhythm section records, but really everything is just tied together. And in this case, Billy Bang, absolutely beautiful player, probably my favorite violinist. And these records are still out there generally. Like I said, they're hard to find in the U.S. for sure, but they still remain sort of relatively under the radar. They're not demanding the insane prices that a lot of American private press jazz of just before this, right? So mid to late 70s. A lot of those, Steve Reed records that I've talked about before, and so on. So, if you're patient, you can still find these records. This is one that I got the most recently, again, on the Sound Aspects label. Yeah, and this is late 80s. This is, I think, 1989 with David Murray. I'm not a big David Murray fan. I know I have him as a sideman on a bunch of records, but and I've had some of his solo projects, but I think for me this is my favorite David Murray project, and it's I believe it's just El Zbar and Murray on the tenor. Murray also plays the bass clarinet here, which is pretty excellent. There's a very 80s looking El Zbar right there with the hat and the glasses. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. It's the track. Yeah, I think it's the title track, Golden Sea, that is particularly outstanding. Yeah, another one that's not so easy to find. And again, these were also issued on CD. I'm not sure if the CD's fairly available. I'm not sure, but so yeah, and I do have a couple of El Zbar's more recent records. He's put out quite a few things on the Spirit Muse label, worth checking out. In fact, he put out like a Don Cherry tribute record that I've been meaning to check out. I think last year he put it out. But yeah, highly recommend. Check out Kahil El Zbar. Yeah, hope everybody has a good rest of your day. Cheers.